We'll start the second of the 3 EVAs at the Quest airlock as we always do, and Randy Comrade Bresnik will head up to reconfigure a latch on the high-pressure gas tank. Then he'll return, pick up an APFR or foot restraint and make his way over to the port side of the U.S. laboratory where he will set up that foot restraint and ingress it in preparation for rotating the pump flow control system spare to its new orientation. Mark will head up to the truss and then move port over to the mobile transporter underneath it to the port CETA cart, where he will stow his tool bag and then grab a foot restraint from the port CETA cart and install it to the robot arm. In order to do that, he'll have to first install a new socket onto the newly repaired latching end effector and then insert his foot restraint. From there, he'll make his way back down to the laboratory to help out Randy with rotation of that PFCS spare into a location where it can be vented. It has an ammonia pad that needs to be vented on a future EVA. Mark will head back to the truss, and Comrade will pick up his foot restraint and head on his way for the rest of his tasks for the day. Mark will separate his tool bags and take the medium ORU bag with him, ingress the robot arm, and Paolo Nespoli will maneuver the robot arm over in front of the camera port number 9 location, which is port, outboard, and lower on the truss. Comrade will bring the large ORU bag with the new camera group out to meet Mark at the work site. Mark and Paolo will first have to work together to remove the high-definition camera from the camera group. That high-def camera was installed about a year ago on a spacewalk, and we're going to be reinstalling it when the change-out is complete. The 2 spacewalkers will work together to remove the failed camera group from the camera port 9 and change it with the replacement camera group that they've assembled when they were inside the space station. They'll install it to the camera port 9, and then Comrade will pack up the bag with the failed camera and return it to the Quest airlock, while Mark works to reinstall the high-def camera, and then Paolo can maneuver the arm back over to the forward face of the truss, where Mark will egress the arm, change his bag out for the crew lock bag holding all of his lubrication tools. He'll set up a foot restraint and ingress that foot restraint to be able to access the new latching end effector to lubricate the central ball screw. In the meantime, Comrade will return to the airlock and work on a myriad of tasks that we have for him to accomplish. He'll go over to the port CETA cart and then up onto the mobile transporter to replace the camera lens of the mobile transporter camera, and then he'll remove the socket from the degraded latching end effector for use on another EVA. He'll grab the medium ORU bag that Mark was using and return with it down to the front of the external stowage platform number 2, where we keep the foot restraint in support of critical contingency EVAs. He'll return his crew lock bag to the airlock, and then he'll head aft on the International Space Station around the back side to the Tranquility module, where he will work on the end cone of the module to remove 2 handrails in preparation for installation of the external wireless system, the enhanced wireless system on another EVA. Mark will finish his work lubricating the central ball screw and then pack up his bags, return the foot restraint to the port CETA cart from whence it came, and then meet up with Comrade at the Quest airlock for the end of the second of the 3 EVAs. Okay, I brought along a little show and tell. Some of you have seen our grease gun before. This is the tool that Mark will be using to lubricate the robot arm on the second of the 3 EVAs. And then Joe Acaba will be trading places with him on the third EVA and finishing up some additional work on the lubrication. Notice it looks like a caulk gun, a lot like the ones that you've got at home. If you've been doing painting or working with caulking a tile job or something like that, you're using a tool very much like this one. It's got a ratcheting plunger with a handle that pressurizes the grease. It's got a on-off valve that keeps the grease in place, just like when you're caulking at home. If we could roll the video, I've got some video of Thomas Pesquet on EVA 40 when he was lubricating another one of the latching end effectors. You can see the grease gun here in the foreground, and he's working with the other two tools as well to lubricate that latching end effector. So if you've done some caulking at home, I guess you're ready to do a spacewalk too. All right, let's roll the video for the third of our triple EVAs. Do we have the video for the third EVA? Here we go. The two crew members, Joe Acaba being EV2 and Comrade Bresnik being EV1, will egress the Quest airlock. Joe will head up to face one of the truss. This time he's going to be working on the starboard side. Notice the mobile transporter has moved now down to the starboard side of the truss. Randy Bresnik will follow him out to the truss. He'll translate under under Joe Acaba and then under the mobile transporter out to the starboard side of the mobile transporter and up on top where the Dexter robot hand is positioned. He'll be changing out a failed fuse that provides redundant power to payloads as they are moved into position by the Dexter robot hand. Joe will be ingressing the robot arm. Paolo will fly him over to the CP3 or camera port 3 camera location to install a high-def camera. And then Comrade will head back down to the airlock and over to the external stowage platform number 2, where he'll be removing some multi-layer insulation off of the main butt switching unit spare that's in that location. Then he'll grab the large ORU bag containing the replacement camera group for the camera port 13 camera, and Joe will maneuver over from the camera port 3 to camera port 13, which is on the starboard side of the U.S. laboratory. The two of them will work together to remove and replace the failed camera group. The replacement unit, Comrade takes that bag back to the airlock while Joe completes the installation of the new camera onto camera port 13. And then Paolo will maneuver him back over to the truss, where he will once again set up his foot restraint for the final lubrication of the arm on this set of EVAs. In the meantime, Comrade goes back to the lower side of the external stowage platform number 2, grabs his ORU bag, and goes on to the top of the stowage platform where the DC switching unit spare, or DCSU spare, is located. He'll perform the same multi-layer insulation removal on that spare, making it also compatible with Dexter robot operations. Joe will be working with Paolo to lubricate the latches on the newly replaced latching end effector. Paolo will rotate the various latches into position so that Joe can easily access those for the lubrication of those latch ball screws. He'll complete as much of the work as possible. There may be some additional lubrication required on a later EVA, but we'll try to get as much done as we can before it's time for Joe to return his foot restraint to the port CETA cart and then pick up his bags on the way back to the Quest airlock, where he will meet Comrade for the end of the 3 EVA series.